Hi, boys and girls. Today we have a book that goes right along with our study of frogs. The title of this book is Fish is Fish. The author and the illustrator is a man named Lionni. On the cover, we see a fish. Above the fish, we see a thought bubble. Inside that thought bubble, we see a fish with wings. I wonder what clue the fish with wings gives us about the story. I am going to read the words first, and then I will show you the pictures on the page. At the edge of the woods, there was a pond. There was a minnow and a tadpole that swam among the weeds. They were inseparable friends. There we see the minnow and the tadpole. Another name for a tadpole is a pollywog. One morning, the tadpole discovered that during the night he had grown 2 little legs. "Look," he said triumphantly. "Look, I am a frog." "Nonsense," said the minnow. "How could you be a frog if only last night you were a little fish, just like me?" They argued and argued until finally the tadpole said, "Frogs are frogs and fish is fish, and that's that." There they are arguing. They're friends, but sometimes friends argue. And then one fine day, a real frog now, he climbed out of the water and onto the grassy bank. Oh, there he goes. He's going up onto the land. The fish has to stay in the water. The minnow too had grown and had become a full-fledged fish. He wondered where his 4-footed friend had gone. But days and weeks went by, and the frog did not return. He didn't come back. I bet he's missing his friend. Then one day, with a happy splash that shook the weeds, the frog jumped into the pond. "Where have you been?" asked the fish excitedly. "I have been about the world, hopping here and there," said the frog, "and I have seen extraordinary things." "Like what?" asked the fish. "Birds," said the frog mysteriously. "Birds." And he told the fish about the birds who had wings and 2 legs and many colors. As the frog talked and his friend saw the birds fly through his mind like a large feathered fish. "What else?" asked the fish impatiently. Oh, look. The fish is imagining that the birds look like fish with wings and tails and bird legs. "Cows," said the frog. "Cows. They have 4 legs, horns, eat grass, and carry pink bags of milk." That looks like a combination of a fish and a cow. But this is what the fish is imagining that they look like. "And people," said the frog. "Men, women, and children." And he talked and talked until it was dark in the pond. But the picture in the fish's mind was full of lights and colors and marvelous things, and he couldn't sleep. Ah, if only he could jump about like his friend and see that wonderful world. There's what he's imagining people look like. It looks like a daddy and a little boy licking a lollipop. Oh, and here's a page with no words. That fish has quite a vivid imagination. And so the days went by. The frog had gone, and the fish just lay there dreaming about birds in flight, grazing cows, and those strange animals all dressed up that his friend called people. One day he finally decided that come what may, he too must see them. And so, with a mighty whack of the tail, he jumped clear out of the water and on to the bank. What do you think will happen to the fish when he jumps onto the land? I'm a little bit worried. I don't think fish should do that. He landed in the dry, warm grass, and there he lay, gasping for air, unable to breathe or move. "Help!" he groaned feebly. Oh boy, he looks like he's in some pretty rough shape. Luckily, the frog, who had been hunting butterflies nearby, saw him, and with all his strength, he pushed him back into the pond. That's what good friends do. They help each other when they're in trouble. Still stunned, the fish floated about for an instant. Then he breathed deeply, letting the clean, cool water run through his gills. Now he felt weightless again, and with an ever so light motion of the tail, he could move to and fro, up and down as before. The sun rays reached down within the weeds and gently shifted patches of luminous color. The world was surely the most beautiful of all worlds. He smiled at his friend the frog, who sat watching him from a lily leaf. "You were right," he said. "Fish is fish." So he thinks down under the ocean, it's pretty nice down there too. And that is the end of the story. Did you like this story? I thought it was a good story about friendship. Now this story had two animals, a frog and a fish, and they both talked. Do fish and frogs talk? Do they use words like we do? I don't think so. They do communicate in their own ways. But this story was a fiction story. That means it's not real. It's imaginary. Now, there were parts of it that were real. The tadpole does grow into a frog, and the minnow does grow into a fish. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, boys and girls.